At my sister's wedding, I was in the hallway. Her mother-in-law smirked until I revealed the truth. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The echoes of laughter drifted through the air, but I stood there, a pebble in a pond of joy, feeling the ripples of uncertainty. My heart raced. The bridal gown shimmered like it belonged in a fairy tale, but the cold reality was my sister wasn't the only one with secrets that day. Shadows loomed larger than the bright chandeliers hanging above as I leaned against the wall, desperate for a moment to breathe. The hallway smelled of roses, a sweet facade that couldn't mask the tension coiling in my stomach. There she was, the mother-in-law, standing tall and smug. Her lips pressed into a tight, knowing smile. I could feel everyone, my family, friends, the guests bubble with excitement. But I knew something they didn't. A truth that could unravel everything. It clung to me like the satin of my dress against my skin, suffocating. I thought about Jamie, my sister, radiant in her moment, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside that door. I'd seen the way her eyes lit up when she met Daniel, her soon-to-be husband, as if there was a spark in the universe that only they could sense. But oh, how quickly I'd come to realize that the universe had its own dark plans. Secrets wrapped in silence. The floorboards creaked as the anticipation settled heavier in the air. Guests exchanged excited whispers. I caught snippets of conversation, the laughter mixing with anxiety, the kind that tugs at your chest. I strained to hear the vows that promised a happily ever after. But inside, I fought my own restless truth. What if I shattered their dream? What if everything crumbled? Then there was a sound. A flurry of footsteps racing down the hall. I closed my eyes tight as if wishing the noise away. Panic surged through me. Every heartbeat echoed a million questions. Why didn't I speak up sooner? Was I too late? Just then, the hallway lights flickered, an omen or simply a trick of the mind. Silence fell heavy around me, gripped tight like a noose. I could feel it in my bones. Something was wrong. I could almost taste it, metallic and sharp, like a storm brewing on the horizon, just waiting to strike, and there I was, staring into the abyss of uncertainty. I stumbled forward, the trembling of my hands barely contained. I could see Jamie's vibrant smile, encased in this illusion of love, while I stood cloaked in shadows. What was the price of truth? The weight of a secret so heavy it could crush us all? As her mother-in-law's eyes glinted, full of mischief, I inhaled. I had to reveal it. The truth clamored inside my throat, begging for release. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a suspense that tasted sweet and bitter all at once. What would happen when the walls finally crumbled? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The whisper of the wedding bells echoed down the corridor, unwittingly tethered to the dread pulsing through me. My throat constricted as my gaze darted toward the heavy wooden doors leading back into the main hall. They were closed, sealing in the joy, the laughter, the promises yet to be made. Inside, Jamie danced on the precipice of forever. Outside, I stood at the edge of a chasm, uncertain of what lay below. Are you all right? A soft voice sliced through the tension. I turned to find Mia, the wedding planner, her brow furrowed with concern. Despite her meticulously styled hair and polished outfit, her vulnerability shone like a beacon. You seem distant, she continued, her gaze scanning my face. In her presence, I felt a tiny flicker of warmth, a momentary refuge from the chaos within me. I faltered, unsure how to articulate the tempest swirling inside. It's complicated. The words hung between us like the heavy draping of silk that framed the entrance to the ballroom. She reached out, placing a comforting hand on my arm. Her touch was grounding. Whatever it is, sometimes sharing a burden makes it lighter, you know. Her eyes held a gentle wisdom, a brief reminder that kindness could exist even in this place of turmoil. But could I unload this weight onto her? I shook my head, forcing a smile as I thought of Jamie and her radiant glow out there, surrounded by love. It's just that I don't want to ruin her day. It's her wedding. My voice was barely a whisper, the truth still a feral beast inside me, eager to escape. Mia nodded, her expression softening. She deserves to be happy, but so do you. Just remember, the truth has its own way of revealing itself. Maybe it's not about ruining the day, but protecting her from future hurt. The thought was like a flickering candle lighting a darkened room. I had to choose hold on to the truth that burned in my chest like a fever or risk losing her to a facade built on false promises. I need to think, I murmured, pulling away gently to collect my thoughts, a daunting task when they spiraled like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. As I paced the carpeted expanse of the hall, I caught sight of a small group of guests huddled near the entrance. They were laughing, their joy like a distant melody reaching out to me. I held my breath as a family friend, Mrs. Wilkins, waved a hand dismissively. It's just a formality. Who even believes in soulmates these days? Her words, light-hearted yet biting, struck a nerve. Was she dismissing Jamie's love as frivolous? No, I blurted, unable to hold it in any longer. They turned to me surprised. I mean, Jamie and Daniel are different. They're real. Their love is real. It felt like half-hearted defiance against drinking the poison of doubt. What do you know about love? A voice chimed from the back, and I recognized Tyler, a distant cousin wrapped in bravado. The laughter died down, the moment heavy with expectation. You've never even been in a serious relationship. Tyler, Mia warned, stepping closer, but I raised my hand. No, it's fine. I squared my shoulders, forcing my voice to stay steady. But I know what truth feels like, and I won't let anyone pretend the fabric of happiness is something it's not. The air charged around us, and for a moment, I felt lifted, emboldened by something within me. I would not be silenced. But just as I thought I had found my voice, the doors swung open, revealing a kaleidoscope of light and noise. There stood Jamie, luminous as ever, wearing a smile that sliced through the tension, innocent and unknowing of the tumult threatening to tear through her happiness. Something shifted inside me, a desperate want to shield her from the storm of secrets and betrayals. Yet, as her gaze found mine, it shimmered like the promise of sunlight breaking through the darkest clouds. My heart clenched. Behind her, Daniel looked enthralled, his gaze soaking in her beauty, blissfully ignorant of what loomed just beyond their perfect bubble. And I could only watch, torn apart by the love I felt for my sister and the love that threatened to rise up like molten lava. But then, cutting through the laughter, a phone began to ring, its shrill sound sharp as a knife. Jamie's expression faltered, a fleeting moment of concern crossing her face before it transformed back into the radiant smile she wore like armor. "It's Mom," she exclaimed, reaching for her own phone. The jubilant atmosphere flickered with confusion, a ripple of discomfort spreading through the guests. Everyone turned their attention to Jamie, and for a heartbeat, the world fell silent. I could sense the danger, a tension in the air that coiled tighter with every passing second. And that when I realized this wasn't just another wedding moment. This was the beginning of a revelation that could change everything. "Wait," I whispered, suddenly desperate to reach out, to stop her from answering, but the words clung to my throat, suffocating me once again. The moment hung, suspended, a fragile thread ready to snap, as I watched Jamie raise the phone to her ear. The joyful facade began to crack. Her face paled, every dream of bliss teetering on the brink. The answer was coming, and I braced myself, for I feared that whatever she would hear could unravel the very fabric of the day. And as I stood there, utterly helpless, I wondered what truth awaited her on the other end. The seconds stretched impossibly as Jamie brought the phone closer, her brow furrowing in confusion. I could see her heart racing with the potential for calamity, and my own pulse echoed her unease. Who had the audacity to intrude on her precious moment of joy? "Mom? What's wrong?" The tremor in her voice sent a shiver through me. Around us, the celebration had come to a standstill, murmurs of concern rippling through the crowd as if a dark cloud had cast its shadow over the day's brightness. My hands felt clammy as I willed myself to move, to say something, anything that could stop this spiraling nightmare from unfolding, but what could I possibly say? The urgency of the moment felt monstrous, threatening to engulf everything that surrounded us. I cast a desperate glance towards Mia. Her eyes widened in anticipation, equally aware that this call could shatter the delicate illusion we'd all built that day. "Mom, I can't hear you." Jamie's voice trembled, and just like that, the bright light that had been her smile flickered dim, the warmth of the room evaporating into confusion and fear. The phone call felt like a looming storm, and I stood helpless, a mere spectator to the unfolding tragedy. Knowing I was the only one who understood the darkness brewing beneath our family facade made it worse, but confronting Jamie now felt like standing at the edge of a precipice. "I'll be right there," she finally gasped, disconnecting the call and shoving the phone into her pocket. The vibrant atmosphere faded further into a muted haze, laughter now a distant memory. All eyes were on her, and despite the crowd's sudden stillness, the momentum of worry began to build, a tidal wave threatening to crash down on her at any moment. Heaving in deep breaths, Jamie's expression shifted, a blend of fear and confusion shadowing her face. My mom said something happened. I have to go." Her voice was barely a whisper, and I could see the emotional armor crumbling beneath the weight of uncertainty. "No." It burst from me, a frantic plea born from instinct, desperation clawing at my insides. "Jamie, wait." "What if Lou, don't," she snapped, her voice strained with emotion. "This is my mother, I have to listen to her." A knot twisted within me. I couldn't allow her to walk into an unknown mess without her knowing the truth first. I had to shield Jamie somehow. I needed to protect her from the inevitable storm brewing just beyond the doors. It could be something simple. "You should stay here," I countered, grasping at straws while the crowd buzzed with rising tension. "It's your wedding day. Nothing could possibly be that important." "Enough," she shouted, surprising me. "I can't keep pretending everything is all right. You don't know what I've been through. I'm going, Lou, and you can't stop me." The entire room shifted again, whispers echoing against the walls, creating a backdrop of unease as Jamie brushed past me, her pristine white dress trailing softly like wisps of cloud. Every step she took pulled at the strings of my heart, and I realized with horror that I was losing her to the very truth I had once considered revealing. In that moment of desperation, Mia stepped beside me, her expression a mix of compassion and urgency. "We can't lose her to this, whatever's happening. What do we do?" "I can't let her face this alone," I exclaimed, the determination swelling within me as panic fought against the daunting truth I had been wrestling with. "If there's even a chance that this call could ruin everything, I need to prepare her." "Then we follow her," Mia said resolutely. "We won't let her go through this alone." We moved in sync, our footsteps like a steady heartbeat as we rushed towards the exit where Jamie had just disappeared. The wedding guests had resumed their chatter, a deceptive layer of normalcy masking the tumult brewing beneath. But with every step, I felt the insistent pull of emotions, a blend of fear, hope, and an undercurrent of love trying to guide me through the storm of uncertainty. As we reached the doorway, I hurried to catch up with Jamie, urging Mia to stay close. Out in the hallway, I could see her standing by the grand staircase, her figure silhouetted against the lobby's soft light, shoulders tense, clearly on edge as she awaited news from her mother. "Jamie," I called, desperation in my voice, but she turned, eyes glistening with unshed tears that mirrored my own turmoil. In that sudden moment of connection, something inside me broke wide open. The truth, as raw as it was painful, surged to the surface. "I can't just stand by and watch you be hurt," I shouted, digging deep for the courage I desperately needed. "If there's something you need to know, I promise I will tell you." But before I could utter another word, footsteps echoed from behind. Daniel emerged from the gathering crowd, his face a mask of concern. But it was Mrs. Wilkins' smirk that hit me like a ton of bricks. She lingered in the background, her eyes starting between us, the knowing look chilling me to my core. "Jamie, we need to talk," Daniel said, urgency coating his tone as he stepped closer, reaching for her hand. The air shifted, electrifying with consequence. I stood paralyzed with the impending weight of truth pressing against my chest, as if every moment had conspired against us. An unsettling quiet cloaked the group, and I wondered, was this the moment everything would change? My heart thudded loudly in my ears, both terrified of the answer and desperate for her to hear my truth before she lost everything she cherished. But just as I opened my mouth to speak, Jamie's gaze darted from Daniel to me, confusion intertwined with doubt. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "What do you mean, Lou?" And in that deep space of uncertainty, I knew the truth awaited us, one that might shatter everything we held dear. I could feel it, inevitable as the tide, poised to sweep us all away. The tension hung in the air like a heavy fog, every moment stretching into infinity as I grappled with the weight of Jamie's gaze, so full of questions yet blurred by anguish. As I stood there paralyzed, the enormity of what was at stake rushed over me like a cold tide. I had spent so long protecting her, shielding her from the pain of betrayal, hell-bent on ensuring this moment, her wedding day, was perfect. But the truth had a way of clawing its way to the surface, no matter how desperately we tried to bury it. I could see Daniel's eyes flicker with concern, but it was Jamie who held my focus. "What do you mean, Lou?" She pressed again, so much unspoken hurt trapped within her voice, the tremble echoing my own shattered hopes. "Jamie, please," I began, my heart racing. "There are things about your mother, about us, that you deserve to know before you step into this next chapter with Daniel." "No." The word erupted from her just as swiftly as the tears began to well. "Not today. Not now. You promised there would be no more secrets." Her voice faltered, the anguish seeping through her words, a reflection of my own spiraling emotions. I could see the frayed edges of her heart, trembling under the pressure of memories I'd tried so hard to shield her from. Mia quietly stepped beside me, a gentle support amid the storm. However, we both knew that the trust we had built, this fragile connection, hung on the precipice of one truth. Just as I was about to summon the courage to speak, Mrs. Wilkins, exuding her typical confidence, flicked her head slightly, casting a long shadow over our heart-to-heart. "Let them talk, dear," she said, her voice dripping with mockery evident at the seams of her mouth. "It's best to get the truth out now rather than later, don't you think?" I bristled at her stirring, the contempt simmering beneath her surface eagerly waiting to erupt. "This is not your business," I shot back. "Oh, but it is when it concerns my son's future," she countered, crossing her arms. "Trust me, Jamie, the truth is often quite ugly, and I would hate for you to find out on the day that should be the happiest of your life." A weighty silence enveloped us again, and Jamie struggled to meet my eyes, torn between the conflicting loyalties of love and familial obligation. "Lou, I don't need to hear this right now," she mumbled, closing her eyes tightly as if trying to block out the impending reality. "Can't we just enjoy the wedding and deal with things later? After everything you've been through?" My voice cracked, desperate to reach her. "You deserve better than that, Jamie. You deserve more than what people are dictating for you. Do you think this is easy for me?" The underlying pain in her voice echoed deeply, a crashing wave against the fortress of bravado I had so carefully built around us. "You think I want to face this today? This isn't the time to unravel our lives in a hallway. I'm trying to get married to the love of my life." "I know you want to marry Daniel," I said, my voice softer now, desperately trying to shift her focus from the suffocating fear looming ahead. "But don't you want to marry him knowing everything? Knowing all the truths? Not this clean-cut fantasy you've been living in?" Just as she opened her mouth again, another interruption emerged. "Jamie, please, let us just focus on our future," Daniel urged, his brow furrowed as he stepped between us, a shield of love, perhaps? But right now his concern felt premature and blind. "Do you even know the whole story?" I shot back at him, the frustration blazing in my veins. "Enough," Jamie shouted again, an explosion of grief spilling onto her delicate features as she took a staggered step back, her breath hitching. "Why is this happening now?" Suddenly, from behind, Mia reached for my arm, panic glimmering in her eyes. "Lou, look." Just as she pointed discreetly, I turned and felt my breath quicken. Daniel's mother stood frozen in place, a glimmer of smug satisfaction twisting her features. A realization crashed down upon me like a heavy weight. Mrs. Wilkins knew something she had laid bare with her words, preying on Jamie's worst fears in this very moment, and as Jamie turned her gaze toward her future mother-in-law, reality began to unravel like threads from a once beautiful tapestry. "What do you know, Mrs. Wilkins?" she demanded, her voice low but fierce, the fire ignited in her heart as she sought clarity amidst the chaos. In that split second, everything shifted, the air thickened, tension building to a breaking point that rippled through the crowd. But it was another shift, a quiet one, that captured my attention. Mrs. Wilkins's expression flickered, revealing something deeper, something unrecognizable, as if a veil had fallen away just enough for me to glimpse the truth beneath. "Nothing you need to worry about, sweetie," she replied, feigning a nonchalance that only fueled my determination. "Stop lying. Just tell me," Jamie pleaded, desperation turning into a plea laced with defiance. "Jamie," I whispered urgently, forcing my gaze back to her face. "This moment will define everything." The light in her eyes flickered, a hint of uncertainty beginning to shine through at the weight of her mother's veneer. But just like that, Daniel stepped forward. "Jamie, you don't need to listen to them. Maybe I do. Maybe I finally need to hear the truth," she shouted back, unlocking a raw fear that lingered in the air around us. In that charged silence, Mrs. Wilkins remained an imposing presence, her smirk faltering. And for the first time, I could see a crack in the armor that shielded her. "Fine. If you want to know, go ahead." At that moment, I felt the world fall away, as if everything had paused, teetering on the verge of revelation. Jamie looked to me then, her face pleading for strength, for guidance as we stood at the threshold of everything we thought we knew. This moment, right here, was going to change everything, and then, before I could say another word, Jamie flinched and took a small step toward Daniel, her gaze flicking back to his mother. "I need to know. What did you mean when you said it would be best to hear it now?" But just then, from down the hallway, a figure appeared, a straggler, an unexpected one. My heart dropped as the familiar face came into view, the last person I ever expected to see. It was Jamie's mother, shirt sleeve rolled up to her elbows in an attempt to look composed, but her disheveled hair and red-rimmed eyes told a different story. And within the depths of her expression, one thing became chillingly clear. Whatever had happened before was only the beginning of a storm that threatened to rip through everything Jamie had built. I stood frozen, caught between the two worlds colliding, as I watched the truth we had all been avoiding rush headlong into our lives. The moment Jamie's mother stepped into view, time itself seemed to distort. The air thickened, and all I could hear was the muted thrum of my own heartbeat, matching the dread coursing through me. Her unexpected arrival shattered the fragile tension hanging in the air and cast faint shadows of foreboding over the ceremonial hall beyond. "Mom?" Jamie's voice cracked, rendering the word barely audible, yet the desperation laced within it reverberated through my veins. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, confusion battling fiercely with the mingled hope and fear crowding her heart. Her mother took a breath, but even in her attempts to steady herself, her facade crumbled piece by piece. "Jamie, I didn't think you'd be here." Each word seemed to land like a stone dropped into a pond, rippling outwards, caressing the edges of uncertainty between us all. Mrs. Wilkins stirred, her smirk faltering, revealing perhaps a flicker of concern. A battle of wills commenced between Jamie's mother and Daniel's, as if both women sensed the impending storm and instinctively sought dominance in a situation that threatened to unravel everything they had worked for. "What did you think would happen?" Jamie's mother pressed, the softness in her tone cracking under the weight of her emotions. "I heard what you said, and I had to be here for you. After everything that's been taken from us." Reality struck me like cold water, another truth, one that Jamie had yet to confront. I felt the quickening pulse of possibility drumming within me, the weight of history's intertwining as I floundered somewhere between anger and empathy. "Jamie, please sit. Let us talk," her mother urged, the strength of her earlier words coded in desperation now. I could see her braced for impact, as if preparing to wield the truth like a weapon forged from familiarity and chaos. "This isn't the time." Jamie shot back, her cheeks flushed with indignation and pain. "You let me believe," but her mother surged forth, cutting her off. "I let you believe what I thought would protect you. I saw what it did to us. I couldn't let the pain infect what little light you had left in your life." I could feel Jamie's composure crack further. Beneath the shimmering surface of her wedding day, we were about to peel back layers crafted in dishonesty and regret. "The truth is all tangled," I murmured, hoping to reclaim her trust amidst the soaring turmoil. "But hiding from it won't ever save us." Daniel stepped back, his face a mask of confusion, his commitment fading as waves of emotional upheaval began to swallow the last vestiges of buoyancy we'd all clung to. As Jamie's mother straightened, shaping the words that would ignite this revelation, I noticed Mia lingering at the doorway, each breath she took steeped in trepidation. "Tell her," she suddenly urged, voice trembling slightly but laced with defiance. "Jamie deserves to know who she is marrying into." A silent acknowledgement passed between us, and I sensed the role of protector shifting yet again, as voices began to overlap, emotions spilling unchecked. "You can't hide forever," I whispered to Jamie, hoping to reach the integration of heart and mind fighting for survival. Her gaze landed on her mother, who stood hesitant yet resolute, a dam of fear and guilt bubbling beneath the surface. "What do you know, Mom?" Jamie's voice softened almost against her will, struggling to navigate the fractures now spreading through the room. Her mother inclined her head as if conceding ground. "I know the truth about Daniel's family, about what they sacrificed for appearances. I thought that knowing might destroy you," but now her eyes flashed with uncontrollable fury, stinging with unbridled emotion. "I see it may kill you if you don't." "What does that mean?" Jamie said softly, stepping closer, the apprehension reflected wildly in her eyes, softly pulling at my heart. And then it came. Her mother lifted her chin, a shimmering pool of secrets unfurling in the crackling air. There's been a darkness around the Wilkins name, lurking just below the surface. A tradition of betrayal. I could feel Jamie's breath catch in her throat, each word a bullet wedged into the already taut atmosphere. "Mom, please, stop," she gasped, and despite knowing I should intervene, I remained rooted, overwhelmed by the gravity of our circumstances. "Your happiness is more important than my silence," her mother declared, her voice breaking. "I married out of convenience to save our family. I thought we could make it work, but things don't fade, Jamie. They linger, they haunt." I caught a glimpse of Jamie's eyes darkening, the weight of this truth heavier than before, looming like a specter overhead. "Haunt?" she repeated, the word a mere whisper, painted in disbelief as Jamie stepped backward, as if the earth had unhinged beneath her. Then her mother continued with urgency, pushing forward, desperation clawing at her voice. "You have to understand, Jamie. Daniel's family and ours, they're intertwined in ways you can't imagine, and they're secrets." But just as the shock began to settle over Jamie's countenance, her mother's phone buzzed insistently in her pocket, cutting through the atmosphere like a knife. Startled, she retrieved it, her fingers trembling as she glanced at the screen. A disquiet flickered across her face, a sense of foreboding that chilled me to the bone. "Mom?" Jamie probed, the urgency returning in her voice. "What is it?" Without responding, her mother's eyes widened, and I could see her battle with the reality of the news that had just come through. I need to go. It's about your father." There's been an incident. Her voice cracked, leaving a trail of fear that wove itself through the room like an insatiable beast, threatening to swallow us whole. "An incident? What kind of incident?" Jamie shot back, confusion flashing like lightning, illuminating the depths of dread settling in her gut. I can't explain now. Just know that time is running out, Jamie. Secrets will surface, and this isn't the end." With each word, I felt the profound shift reverberating, our complexities unraveling painfully, building to a point of implausibility that hit like a merciless wave. Just as Jamie opened her mouth to protest further, revolutions pushed forward, reshaping the landscape of our lives in ways we never predicated, and then the realization crashed down upon me: this was more than just her wedding day. This was the nexus of everything we had fought to protect now spiraling, the weight of it bearing down relentlessly until we stood teetering on the edge of an unanticipated abyss. As the tumult of emotions cascaded around us, silence hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jamie stood there, pale and frail, as if the very foundation of her world had begun to erode beneath her feet. The distant sounds of laughter and joy from the wedding hall felt like ghosts, mocking our unraveling lives. "Mom, what do you mean there's been an incident?" Jamie pressed, her voice trembling as she clutched the delicate fabric of her wedding dress. The lace seemed to twist tighter around her fingers, as if reflecting the anxiety tightening in her chest. "I have to go," her mother insisted, her urgency spilling over into chaos, leaving Jamie stranded at the intersection of dread and yearning for truth. This isn't just about us anymore. With every fiber of my being, I could sense the agonizing fracture growing between them. Jamie's need for answers clashed with her mother's desperate need for distance. I had never witnessed such turbulent pain confined within a single moment, yet I felt compelled to interject. "Mrs. Wilkins," I said softly, my heart thudding with the weight of the impending doom, "maybe you shouldn't leave. It's clear that Jamie needs you right now." For a brief moment, her eyes momentarily softened to meet mine. There was a flicker of recognition, as if she understood that I stood firmly at her daughter's side, a sentinel against the storm that threatened their connection. But just a heartbeat later, that softness vanished, replaced by determination. "I'm so sorry, Jamie," Mrs. Wilkins said, voice strained. "I need to handle this alone. Your father, he's in trouble, and I what kind of trouble?" Jamie's voice cracked, desperation clawing at her, and I felt the raw fragility of her spirit. It reverberated like the echo of a thunderclap in that cavernous hallway. "I can't explain. Please understand, and I promise no. You want to leave." "Not now," Jamie shouted, the intensity of her pain radiating like a shockwave, forcing the air from my lungs. It was as if she were fighting against the vortex of truth, her mother trying to separate from her, and anxiety threatening to pull her under. Just then, Mia's voice broke through again, a steady stream of defiance amidst the chaos. "This isn't just about you two. We all deserve to know what's happening, Jamie. You can't be left in the dark while your family unravels silently around you." The room buzzed, the tension morphing, and I started to see small sparks of unity ignite as Jamie and Mia connected over shared emotions. Jamie swiveled toward Mia, a flicker of gratitude washing over her face before she turned back to her mother. "Tell me," she ordered, her voice shaking yet resolute. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." The air shifted palpably, the mother-daughter barrier quivering, and I felt the weight of Jamie's vulnerability inviting her mother to bridge the gap. I watched as Mrs. Wilkins hesitated, mulling over her fractured loyalties with her family's legacy clawing for attention. But then, something shifted in her expression. I could almost see her heart battling with the opposing currents of fear and love. "You deserve to know the truth, not just the tidy version I thought would spare you," she murmured, anguish threading through her tone. Another ominous buzz erupted from her phone, startling even the semblance of calm we were struggling to cultivate. Mrs. Wilkins' eyes darted to the screen once more, dread unfolding like petals of a dark flower, one that had long been concealed from view. "What is it?" Jamie pressed, grounding herself like a lighthouse in a storm, reins of control fraying as she fought to understand the world spiraling from beneath her. I can't do this right now. Jamie, trust that I'm trying to protect you," her mother finally said, voice breaking as she stepped back, tears clinging to her lashes. It was a moment suspended in time, where every aching beat hitched between unresolved truths and impending heartbreak. Just as Mrs. Wilkins turned to leave, her gaze locked onto mine. "The past has claws." Her words dripped with forewarning, each syllable a knot in my stomach. "They'll all come back to find you, Jamie. They will not let go so easily, and neither will I." As silence enveloped her departing figure, Jamie turned to me, her eyes wide, glistening with questions too grand for any response. "What does she mean?" she whispered, and the fear etched on her face cracked my heart anew. I don't know, Jamie, I confessed, my own voice suddenly raw with emotion. But I promise I will stand by you before I could finish. Mia stepped forward and grabbed Jamie's hand with unexpected determination. We have to find out what she's talking about before it's too late. If there are secrets tied to your family and Daniel S., we can't ignore them, but what if it's true? Jamie interrupted, tears spilling down her cheeks, setting free the torrent of emotions built high within her. What if everything had been a lie, every moment leading to this wasn't meant to happen? Then we'll face it together. All of us, I urged, trying to inject shards of hope into a dark landscape looming overhead. But just as we found a grounding sense of solidarity, another buzz cut through my phone, an unknown number flashing on the screen. I picked it up, heart racing, aware that an unexpected convergence of truth might arise again, spiraling us further into uncertainty than we'd ever imagined. It took a moment before I could speak, but when I did, the words fell forth with chilling clarity. Hello? Is this? A sharp breath rattled through the receiver, cutting me off. You need to listen. It's about Jamie and Daniel. You won't believe what I found. That single line hung in the air like an impending storm, drawing us deep into a foreboding murmur of mysteries that needed unraveling, as we stood on the precipice of truths that could devastate the fragile realities we clung to. The chill of the metal phone pressed against my ear felt oddly reminiscent of the icy rush of fear that clamped around my chest. I exchanged a glance with Jamie, who stood rigid, eyes wide like a fawn caught in headlights, heart poised to race towards a revelation that felt both terrifying and electric. Who is this? I demanded, memory flickering with the weight of the unknown. Each second stretched painfully as the voice on the other end seemed to weigh my resolve, searching for the right words to spill the secrets buried beneath all the chaos. Listen closely, the voice whispered. I can't say much, but you have to know that Daniel is involved in this mess deeper than you can imagine. Daniel. The name echoed painfully in the hollow between us, each syllable ricocheting against the ethos of our lives. Jamie's face strained, a storm brewing within her, as a million fragmented questions tangled themselves into the fabric of that moment. Who are you? I pressed, frustration creeping in. There was a weight to this revelation, an urgency that charged the air with static electricity. Just a friend. Look, I can't explain over the phone, but there's a reason your friend's family did everything to keep the truth hidden. Why do you care? Jamie blurted out now, the tremor in her voice betraying the sudden swell of anger mingled with fear. If you know something, stop wasting time. Just tell us. The voice hesitated, a pregnant pause that felt like a heavy shroud falling upon us. Because I can't let him drag you into this. If you don't act soon, everything will change for you and not for the better. Everything's already changed. Jamie shouted, the rawness amplifying the fear in her heart. We've lost so much already. Just give me one reason to trust you. I can show you, the voice replied, the intonation shifting from cryptic to earnest. Meet me at the cafe at the corner of Pembroke and Willow at 9 p.m. You can bring your friend too if you want, but you have to come alone for disclosure. It's your best shot at unveiling what's really going on before it's too late. Without waiting for a response, the line clicked dead and left rattling echoes in the silence. I lowered my phone and met Jamie's panicked gaze, the gravity of uncertainty pooling between us. What do we do? She whispered, voice quaking. I don't even know if I can trust that person. Yet, what if they're right? Let us think this through, I urged, trying to find the calm needed to navigate this tempestuous sea of confusion. If there's even a sliver of truth to what they said, we can't dismiss it. You deserve to know what's happening for your own sake, especially if it's about Daniel. Daniel. Jamie's voice faded, blanketed in a mist of betrayal that overshadowed any lingering romance. The thought of his ties intertwined with her family sent a shiver down her spine. What had he been hiding? Mia stepped forward, placing her hands on Jamie's shoulders in an attempt to ground her. Are you sure about this, Jamie? Meeting someone like this might not be safe at all. I don't have a choice, Jamie murmured, a heart-wrenching resignation fusing determination back into her spirit. If Daniel is in danger, I need to understand how it all connects before he's lost to me, lost to us. I wanted to argue, to coax her to reconsider, but that would be robbing her of the agency she craved. In that moment, I recognized the tightrope she walked. Her fear was a companion that could either break her spirit or galvanize her with purpose. "Then we'll go," I said, determination resonating in my own voice. "We'll go together. You won't face this alone. And if this is just another trap?" she asked, visibly trembling, the uncertainty almost adding a physical weight to the air around us. "Then we'll find a way to protect you, Jamie. That's what friends do." My words reverberated with conviction, but as I spoke, doubt gnawed at my insides, lingering like a whisper, a cautionary tale my mind begged me to heed. As the clock ticked down to the fateful hour, unease built upon every second. The world outside melded into a blur, as twilight draped its velvet cloak around the city, challenging us to confront the shadows dancing just out of sight. At the cafe, cloaked in dim lights and laughter that felt jarringly out of place, we spotted a figure seated at a corner booth, muffled into silence beneath the wrap of a scarf. A blend of hope and dread twined around our hearts as we approached, each step laden with the weight of every unspoken fear. The figure looked up, revealing a familiar face that sent shockwaves through my chest. Everything solidified, every unresolved thread pulling taut in a terrible knot within me as recognition sliced through the veil of darkness. "Why are you here?" I whispered, my heart racing. The realization that this person held a connection to the chaos that was slowly unraveling around Jamie was a revelation I never expected. "Because," they said, and just as their words teetered on the brink of something colossal, the cafe door swung open. A cold gust seized the moment, and in stepped Daniel with an expression of dread that took my breath away. The room shifted, hearts clenched in uncertainty, as we stood together on the cusp of revelations that could transform everything we thought we knew. Somewhere in the bustle behind him, a phone vibrated sharply, drawing our attention. This time, it was a text notification on Jamie's phone, its glow illuminating her tense features, a message that could alter the trajectory of our lives forever. "Don't open it. Please." I realized my voice trembled, sensing the impending storm we were about to unleash. But the air tensed, charged with chaos that refused to be contained as Jamie's gaze locked onto her phone, pulse quickening with anticipation. "What does it say?" I demanded, but in the deep recesses of my heart, I feared that the answer might shatter everything we knew. The cafe felt like a pressure cooker, the air thick with unspoken truths and tangled emotions. Jamie held her phone with trembling fingers, the screen a beacon that drew us all in, a tether linking us to secrets that threatened to unwind the fragile bond we shared. With Daniel's arrival, a tangible tension laced the atmosphere, igniting thoughts that spiraled and flared within me like wildfire. "Don't open it. Please," I repeated, though my voice lacked the power to command her. Each syllable felt as delicate as a whispered promise hanging in the balance. I turned to Daniel, desperation clawing at my insides. "You shouldn't be here." His eyes darted between Jamie and me, shadows of unresolved pasts flare in their depths, a complexity of emotions roiling just beneath the surface. "I can explain." He reached for her, his voice laced with a mix of urgency and dread, unpredictably vulnerable. "You should have stayed away, Jamie. You have no idea what you're getting into. You're the one who led us into this mess, Daniel." Jamie's anger burned, a bright flare amidst the uncertainty. "Who else is involved? What about your family?" The challenges of the unknown, the terror wrapped around the threads of betrayal, curdled in the pit of my stomach as Jamie's imploring gaze searched his for answers. He turned toward the figure in the booth, his expression morphing into one of quiet fury. "I can't believe you brought them here. You said it would be safe." "I thought it was time for them to know," she retorted, her voice taut with conviction. "I won't let you make decisions about my life anymore." Caught in the turbulence, I leaned in closer to Jamie, whispering, "What does the message say?" My heart raced, anticipation melding with dread. A silent prayer echoed in the recesses of my mind. But before she could respond, a shocking realization dawned upon me. The figure in the booth wasn't just an ally. Recognition pulsated through me, mingling with waves of disbelief. It was Alex, the one person who carried the weight of unspoken history with Jamie. How had they become wrapped in this unfolding drama? The chill of betrayal seeped back into my veins as I caught the unease shimmering on their face. "Can we trust you?" I shot at Alex, the tension a taut string ready to snap. "What do you know about all of this?" I knew something was off, but I didn't connect the dots until now, Alex admitted, their voice as shaky as Jamie's had been moments ago. "Daniel, you have to tell her the truth. This can't wait any longer." "And what truth is that?" Jamie's voice trembled, raw with need for clarity, for honesty that had been snatched away by circumstances beyond her control. Daniel pinned Alex with a look, a silent warning laced with urgency. "It's not that simple," he replied, every word thick with the weight of concealment. "There are lives at stake." That phrase ignited the nervous energy in the air. This wasn't just about Jamie and Daniel anymore. We were entangled in something larger, something that sent shivers down my spine, a shadowy network hiding behind smiles and well-orchestrated lives. "Then let us help," I offered, feeling the shifting alliances around me. "Whatever this is, we'll face it together." My own words surprised me, the fierceness percolating within me as I grasped the gravity of our circumstances. Jamie stared up at me, her eyes brightening with glimmers of hope amidst the darkness. "Together," she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper, yet woven with determination. But before Daniel or Alex could respond, the phone in Jamie's hand vibrated fiercely. All eyes snapped to it, the cafe falling eerily silent as a shadow cloaked us all. With an unsteady breath, she glanced at the screen, white-knuckled and flustered, entrapped in a web of indecision. "What does it say?" I urged, stepping a fraction closer as anticipation pulled taut, a damning revelation poised on the horizon, ready to be unleashed. Her fingers hovered, heart racing, before the dread in the air thickened. "It's from my father," she whispered, her voice trembling like a stray leaf caught in the wind. "Give it here," Daniel urged, his eyes wide, disoriented, yet fierce with the need to shield her. "No." Jamie backed away, pushing the device against her chest as if it could shield her from the storm brewing. "I have to read it. I can't hide anymore." In that moment, as she unlocked her phone, I caught a fleeting glimpse of the world outside, the bustling streets alive with laughter and warmth, a dissonance to our deepening chaos. But inside, we stood on the precipice of treachery, each of us feeling the hold of fate as the message flashed across the screen, a command or a plea that could send shockwaves through our lives, building to a climax that demanded reckoning. "Jamie," I whispered, eyes locked on her. She paused, breath shallow, heartbeat thudding like a war drum. The storm was approaching and the world longed for the truth, but in that fraction of a heartbeat, we all stood dangerously close to losing our grasp on everything we held dear. "What does it say?" Daniel prodded again anxiously, the look in his eyes both pleading and fearful. Before Jamie could speak, the door opened again, setting off a shockwave of cold air that brought a voice that felt darkly familiar, kin to the secrets I feared. As recognition surged within me, a shocking revelation hit harder than I anticipated, darkening the space between us. "I wouldn't go any further if I were you," a low voice growled. "You have no idea what you're up against." The cafe felt like it was suffocating in the wake of the stranger's words, each heartbeat echoing the weight of unvoicable fears. My mind was set ablaze with the weight of that voice, each syllable carrying the chill of misplaced trust. "What do you mean?" I shot back, my tone laced with desperation and anger. I had to understand the depths of this entanglement we were grappling with. "Minerva," the stranger said, stepping through the threshold with a confident gait, like a predator marking territory. "It's you all should be wary of. Not Daniel." He scanned the room, eyes calculating, before finally fixing them on Jamie. "She's in more danger than you know." The name sent ripples of confusion through our group. Jamie appeared bewildered, caught in a struggle between clarity and the shadows that had so long obscured her vision. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice shaking, but laced with the steeliness of someone desperate to reclaim their narrative. "I'm someone who knows her," the invader replied evenly, his smirk unsettling as he folded his arms across his chest. "Minerva's been orchestrating this whole thing. You don't know it yet, but you're a pawn in a game that's been played for years." The weight of his words sank into the space around us like heavy fog, strangling the lingering hope. Minutes stretched unbearably thin, trapped within the tension that now threaded through our group, wrapping tighter with every stolen breath. "Minerva? What do you know about my family?" Jamie asked, fear threading through her voice with every syllable, rippling across our gathering of misplaced trust. Daniel's jaw tightened, and Alex looked pained. "We can't let them manipulate you, Jamie," Daniel said finally, tense and unyielding. His eyes flicked between the stranger and her, torn between wanting to protect her and fearing he wouldn't be able to. But the man, this harbinger of chaos, only chuckled, an unsettling sound that echoed into the silence. "You're not ready to hear it, Miss Jamie," he taunted. "You think you're just a girl trying to find a way out. But your mother," he paused to let the words hang heavy in the air, "she isn't what you think she is. She's been hiding a past that's far darker than family secrets." I could see the realization hit Jamie like a physical blow. She took a step back, searching faces, longing for some shred of reassurance, some handhold against the tumult that was rushing in. My heart ached for her, and instinctively, I reached for her hand, hoping to convey the strength she needed. "What are you saying?" Jamie's voice barely broke past the tension, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "What do you mean she's hiding? She's a player in a dangerous game," he interrupted, stepping closer, his presence almost suffocating. "Your mother's name is affiliated with people who manipulate and control. And you have the key to unlock everything, it seems." A wave of anger surged within Daniel. "Enough," he commanded, stepping up next to Jamie, his protective nature brimming as his voice echoed like thunder. "You don't know a damn thing about her family. Stop playing games." "Games?" The man turned to Daniel, surprise flaring in his eyes. "You think they care about you? This is bigger than all of you. Jamie's dear father is the one who gave Minerva the power in the first place. You're all flailing in the dark. Time to wake up." "I won't believe you," Jamie said defiantly, her chin lifting as if to shield herself from the storm of revelation looming over her. "Get out. You're lying." "Am I?" His voice dripped with disdain and derision. "You'll see soon enough. All it takes is a single message to unravel the illusion. The truth has a way of slipping through the cracks. Just like that phone in your hand." She clutched it tightly, glancing at it as if it was a lifeline. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, fire flickering in her eyes. "I want you to be careful. You're stepping into a battlefield without armor. You can't stop it. There's a storm coming, Jamie," he warned, pulling away from the window and allowing the icy air to swirl around us. "When the time comes, remember this moment. Trust someone, and it could be your last mistake." Just as he stepped backward toward the door, poised to vanish into the very fog that had enveloped our lives, he threw one last sentence over his shoulder. "Your mother's coming for you." And with that, he swung the door wide open, leaving the cafe and us in the darkness of unknowing dread. The whispers of his threat stirred around us like errant shadows, gnawing at the very fabric of our reality. "Jamie," I started, but the devastation in her eyes silenced me. A profound loss twisted into the shape of the unknown, the urgency of her situation now spiking within the very depths of my heart. Each second felt like an eternity as I watched her reel from the string of revelations, fastening pieces together that had only moments ago formed a flimsy illusion. The storm had only just begun, and the truth, whatever it was, loomed ominously on the horizon, waiting to devastate everything in its path. The clock ticked ominously in the cafe's corner, its sound growing louder, an auditory reminder of the gravity surrounding us. As silence enveloped the group, emotions simmered just below the surface, a thick tension palpable in the air. It was a place suspended in time, where pain lingered like smoke from a smoldering fire, reminding us of the storm that had just crashed through the fragile barriers we had once thought impenetrable. "Jamie," I said softly, stepping closer as a myriad of questions swirled in my mind, each one more urgent than the last. "You don't have to face this alone." My voice cracked slightly, a tinge of fear slipping through. I could see the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, a swirling tempest formed from the turmoil framing her very existence. "I don't know what to believe anymore, Lou." Her voice quivered as she hung onto the phone like a lifebuoy, tentative yet trembling with the weight of the uncertainty cradled in its glow. What if they're right? What if everything I thought I knew about my family is just a facade? I took a deep breath, sorting through the raw emotions that threatened to drown us. But do you want to find out? Because whatever happens, I promise we'll get through this together, I replied, my heart racing. Jamie's chin quivered, vulnerability etched across her features, but there was also a glimmer of determination stirring within her. I need to know what he meant. About my mother. About everything. Her gaze turned to Daniel, searching for trust in the depths of his eyes, an anchor against the undercurrents of fear swirling around her. Daniel's face was a torrent of emotions: fear, regret, and something deeper. You're stronger than this, Jamie. Whatever you find, I'll be beside you. We have to be ready to face it. Each word felt like a vow hanging in the air, a lifeline twined with threads of hope. I don't know where to start, she whispered, clutching the phone tighter, until the screen glimmered like a shard of glass in her palm. What if the truth pulls our worlds apart? It could also bring you peace, I replied gently, brushing aside the gnawing anxiety that flickered within me. Sometimes the truth redefines the battles we fight, Jamie. In a moment of fragile defiance, she drew in a steadying breath, squared her shoulders, and took a step forward, slowly lifting the phone to her ear. My heart raced with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation as I watched her scroll through the messages, the spotlight of her searching gaze igniting a spark that illuminated the depths of her spirit. Oh, she gasped, shock etching itself across her face, but before she could process the unfolding emotions, she pressed the phone close to her heart, her breathing quickening. What is it? Daniel asked, anxiety evident in his tone, stepping closer as if leaning into her strength might shield them from the storm about to erupt. Tears glimmered in Jamie's eyes as she met our gaze, shaking her head in disbelief. It's from my father, she breathed, disbelief settling over her like a heavy quilt. Her voice trembled, thick with unspoken fear. He says there's something he needs to show me. Something important to ensure my safety. I felt her pain, the weight of uncertainty as time stretched, wrapping itself around us like a shroud. I stepped closer, instinctively reaching for her hand, squeezing it lightly in a show of solidarity. You deserve to know the truth, Jamie, I encouraged, feeling our connection anchor us amid the chaos. She glanced at me, a storm brewing behind her eyes, fueled by warmth and fear. But what if it destroys everything? Her words were like shards of glass, cutting deep into my heart. Sometimes the truth does destroy. But maybe it's not about destruction, maybe it's about rebuilding, about knowing who you really are. I could feel our soothing bond, one forged in affection and trust, weaving itself tighter around us even as the storm loomed closer. Remember, you're not alone, Daniel echoed softly, worry etched into his brow. Whatever you find, we face it together. A surge of determination flared in Jamie's eyes, igniting the flickering flames of hope. All right. A deep breath settled into her chest like an anchor. I'll meet him. Are you sure? I asked, wanting to protect her from the darkness that seemed to seep from the phone with every vibration. We can find a safer way. I have to do this, she insisted, a newfound fire ignited in her soul. I won't be dragged into someone else's narrative anymore. And with that powerful declaration, she hit dial, her resolve crashing through the uncertainty, emboldened by the very weight of that moment, ready to unearth the truth that lay long buried. We watched in rapt silence as the phone rang, each tone vibrating against my chest as palpable tension hung in the air. The seconds elongated, stretching our hope and fear painfully thin until the line clicked through. Jamie? It was her father's voice, raw and filled with urgency. I'm so glad you answered. You must listen carefully. There are things about our family, about Minerva, that you don't know and need to grasp before it's too late. A chill slithered down my spine as I glanced at Daniel. He was barely breathing, watching her, while Mia crossed her fingers in silent hope. Jamie's expression remained steady, but shimmering with uncertainty, a balance of courage and trepidation. Listen to me. You're in danger, her father continued, the tautness of desperation in every word. Everything plays a part in a much larger game you cannot begin to comprehend. And in that instant, the world fragmented around us, the weight of his words sending us spiraling into the depths of the unknown, a voice crying for help from within a dark chasm, begging to guide Jamie through the shadows. Towards the light. As Jamie's face paled and our surroundings began to blur, 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind. Were we prepared to confront whatever lay hidden in the corners of those truths? "Stay strong, Jamie," I urged, squeezing her hand even tighter as the call continued, a tether binding us together as the threads of our journey converged into one single heartbeat, each thump reminding us that the truth was a path fraught with danger yet golden with possibility. "Stay strong," she whispered, and in that moment, I realized it wasn't just for her sake, but for all of us who dared to face the storm ahead. Because beyond the shadows, we might finally uncover the truth, we might finally shatter the glass and let the light bleed through. And in doing so, we might also discover the love and acceptance we had long fought for, standing together against the darkness. As I closed my eyes for a brief second, inhaling the possibilities of the truth. I knew that whatever happened next would redefine everything we held dear. And together, we would embrace the storm as a family, untangling the knots of pain from the chains of our past, because in the end, that was where our true strength lay. I felt Jamie's grip tighten, resolute like a beacon cutting through the despair. And as the shadows flickered around us, I vowed then and there, we would face the truth, side by side, and as always, we would rise from the ruins together.